Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in, well, a really complex set of sources. It's all centered on this one investigator, Disciple Manning. Hugely cynical guy.
Yeah, and it's not just your standard missing person case. You've got Manning, you've got two wildly different cults, and they are violently opposed. It's quite the setup.
Absolutely. And Manning himself, his whole outlook is shaped by this condition he has, hyperthymestic syndrome.
That's it. He's got this near-perfect autobiographical memory. He puts it pretty bluntly.
Yeah.
He retains all the crap.
All the crap. So every little thing, every conversation, every mistake someone makes, he remembers it.
Permanently. It's all cataloged in his head, which leads him to this really interesting distinction he makes.
Right. He doesn't call himself a skeptic. He insists he's a cynic.
Exactly. And his reasoning is key. He says, skeptics don't believe in anything because they care too much. They're actually looking for truth, you know?
Okay.
The cynic. He doesn't believe in anything because he doesn't care enough.
Doesn't care enough. Because he's already seen it all before. In his memory.
That seems to be the core of it. This constant internal replay, it shapes how he sees people. Not as unique individuals, really.
He calls them repeaters.
Yeah, repeaters, following ironclad commandments based on their flaws and past action.
Okay, but wait a second. If he remembers everything, wouldn't that make him the ultimate skeptic? He'd have all the evidence right there in his head to challenge things.
Yeah.
Why cynicism?
It's a good question. I think it's because he sees the patterns winning out, always. He doesn't need to doubt if someone will screw up or give in to, their worst impulses.
He's already seen countless versions of it.
Exactly. He's seen it play out mentally 1,000 times. He even says, and this is pretty chilling, if I knew you well, I quite literally would know you better than you know yourself. Because he sees your past defining your future.
Wow, okay. And this is the guy hired to find Jennifer Bonjour, 21 years old, missing daughter of this wealthy, clearly troubled couple.
The Bonjour?
So our mission today, really, is to see how Manning's cynical worldview holds up when faced with, well, cosmic nihilism on one side and violent supremacy on the other. It's quite a test.
Definitely. So let's start with that first meeting. Manning and the Bonjour.
Okay. So how does that go down? Where does he even operate?
Oh, the setting itself tells you a lot about Manning. It's not some fancy office. It's described as a narrow 1,000-square-foot retail slot.
Like a storefront.
Yeah, in a pretty grungy area. Real gritty. And the mother, Amanda Bonjour, she basically starts crying the moment she walks in.
And Manning's reaction? Sympathy?
Not quite. His first thought, pure business. He immediately decides right then and there to charge them his absolute highest rate.
Okay, so he's reading them instantly, judging the situation. What about the father, John?
He sizes him up too. John's a lawyer, wealthy, obviously, but Manning notes the well-fitting suit.
Meaning?
Meaning meticulous upkeep, which Manning interprets as a sign of someone trying very hard to be in control, even when his daughter's missing.
And does that control hold?
Not really. Manning picks up on secrets almost immediately. John keeps trying to, manage what his wife says.
Police his wife's responses, the source says.
Right. Especially when the topic is their relationship with Jennifer. Amanda eventually admits it was troubled.
And then she drops a bombshell.
Yeah, the detail that John once slapped her during a fight.
Oof. That tells Manning a lot, I imagine, about the home Jennifer was fleeing.
Definitely paints a picture. But here's the twist on Manning's cynicism. He knows they probably despise him too, or at least look down on him.
How so?
Well, they admit why they hired him, this self-described nickel-and-dime hack. John, the lawyer, had already gone down to Runnock, the town where Jennifer disappeared.
And he failed.
Yeah, he couldn't get anywhere. So they need Manning because, as they put it, he can talk their language.
Implying Manning is rough enough for the locals?
Basically, yeah. Someone who can navigate the, let's say, less polished elements of Runnock that the lawyer couldn't handle. John's trying to use Manning's perceived status against him in a way.
So John's manipulating the situation too.
Oh, absolutely. Manning pegs John as a lying fat fuck, just trying to control the narrative, probably minimize his own failings.
But the most important thing Manning concludes in that meeting.
It's devastating. Within minutes, he's convinced Jennifer is already dead.
So this isn't a rescue?
No. In his mind, it's a recovery. Find the body, figure out who killed her and why.
Which brings us to the why. The forces that pulled Jennifer into this whole mess. Let's talk about the first cult she joined. The Framers.
Right. And this is where things get weird. Philosophically weird. The Framers are led by Xenophon Baars, former philosophy professor.
Okay, so he's articulate. He can probably spin a good yarn.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And he uses that philosophical training to build their belief system, which is something else.
Okay, lay it on us. What do the framers believe?
Their core idea is that the reality we perceive right now is what they call an occluded frame.
Occluded frame, meaning...
Meaning it's not the fundamental reality. It's been systematically skewed, manipulated, to look like the early 21st century.
Wait, so like we're in the Matrix? Or some kind of simulation?
That's the ballpark, yeah. They believe the actual world is way older, like more than 5 billion years older than it is.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. It's about to end, not in some distant cosmic future, but like now, imminently.
It's intensely nihilistic.
Yeah.
An immediate deadline for everything.
Totally. And Baars, the leader, he claims he's actually experienced the true reality. He says he's crossed the lacuna, some kind of perceptual boundary, and literally walked the frame.
Okay. And what does walking the frame allow him to do?
Well, according to him, it gives him this complete detachment. He can view the entire spectrum of human experience, good, bad, horrific, things like rape and murder, as just data points.
Data points.
Or things to be consumed, experiences within the frame that don't really matter because the whole system's about to crash anyway.
That level of detachment is hard to fathom. Does it apply to personal feelings, too?
Seems so.
Yeah.
Manning interviews Baars, and Baars actually says he's quite in love with Jennifer. But then he immediately qualifies it. He says, this level of me, at least, is in love with her.
Wow, like his love is just another program running on the current operating system. About to be deleted.
Pretty much captures the framer vibe. Total cosmic detachment. But being in Reddick puts Jennifer, and by extension Manning, directly in the path of a very different, very local threat.
And that brings us to the second cult, the Church of the Third Resurrection.
Yeah, known locally as the Thirds.
And these guys are the complete opposite of the framers' abstract philosophy, right?
Absolutely. They're grounded in something much more visceral and hateful. It's a Christian identity sect.
Christian identity. So white supremacist theology.
Explicitly.
Okay.
Led by a Reverend Nill. He preaches that Adam was the first white man. Only the white man can blush, is one of his charming lines.
Charming.
And that only white Americans, specifically, are truly human. Everyone else, he calls them mud people.
So one cult says basically nothing is real, just a simulation. The other says only they and their specific race are real. What a clash.
It's an absolute collision of worldviews, and this clash has basically paralyzed the town.
How so? What about law enforcement?
Well, Manning discovers the local police chief, Caleb Nolan, is completely, as the source puts it, over his head.
Doesn't know how to handle it.
Not at all. In fact, he pretty much gives Manning the entire police file on the case, just hands it over.
Seriously?
Yeah. And confesses he wants to coordinate with Manning. He has this fantasy of being Manning's sidekick. A comic book hero, he says.
A comic book hero.
Oh.
While dealing with white supremacists and cosmic nihilists.
Okay.
But is he just naive, or is there something else going on?
Oh, he's terrified. Deeply terrified. He tells Manning this story about how the Thirds intimidated him personally.
What happened?
One of Reverend Nill's associates apparently tried to pick up Nolan's young daughter from her swimming class. Used a fake name, false pretenses.
No, wait.
Nolan confronted Nill, and Nill gave him some flimsy story. And Nolan admits he just dropped it. He says he chose to believe the lunatic because he was scared. Scared of what the Thirds might do to his family if he pushed back.
So the Thirds basically owned the town through fear.
Exactly. That fear, that paralysis of the official channels, it's why someone like Manning operating outside the rules is the only one who can actually investigate.
Even though he's deeply cynical about the whole thing, he still acts.
Yeah, and he needs resources, which leads to some interesting fundraising methods.
Okay, tell me about this. He's already getting paid top dollar by the Bonjour.
Right. But he decides he needs more. So he recruits a local journalist, Molly Madonna. Unbeknownst to him at this point, she's actually a framer recruit herself.
Ah, okay. A complication.
A big one. And then Manning starts running this collection scam in Reddick.
A scam? What kind?
He goes around town telling people he's raising money for the Bonjours so they can afford to hire a PI to find Jennifer.
Even though he is the PI they already hired and paid.
Exactly. He's playing on the town's sympathy for the missing girl and her family to basically double dip and fund his operation. Pure Manning cynicism, exploiting the very emotions he probably despises.
Wow. Okay, so he's got money, he's got a journalist helper who's secretly involved.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the case go? It feels like it's about to break open.
It does, but in a horrific way. The shift comes when Chief Nolan calls Manning out to an old abandoned factory, the Nashron plant.
And what do they find?
It's gruesome. They find Jennifer's severed fingers and a baby toe.
Oh, God. Just left there.
Not just left, arranged, deliberately arranged in the shape of a swastika on a metal table.
A swastika. So clearly pointing the finger at the thirds.
An undeniable, grotesque message, directly linking the violence to their ideology. It's designed purely to terrify.
And the details are even worse, right? Something about how they were cut.
Yeah, the medical examiner finds something chilling. The initial cuts, removing the fingers and toe from the body, happened after death, post-mortem. But then, the fingers and toe themselves were cut again. A second time. Suggesting careful, deliberate staging, like someone wanted to maximize the horror, make the message absolutely clear.
But is the message true? Are the thirds really responsible?
Well, that's what everyone assumes. But then Molly, the journalist, drops another bombshell on Manning.
The framer recruit.
Right. She reveals that Baars, the framer leader, told her that Jennifer's entire disappearance was staged. A media hoax.
A hoax? Why?
According to Baars, it was designed to wring enlightenment out of the instruments of mass delusion. Basically, use the media frenzy, the parents' grief, even the predictable violence of the thirds as part of some grand, twisted performance piece.
So the severed fingers, the swastika. Baars orchestrated that, expecting the thirds to be blamed.
Or at least anticipated it as part of the performance. It's incredibly manipulative. The whole thing starts to unravel really fast from here.
Okay, so what happens next? There's violence, right?
Yeah.
Manning gets involved directly.
Yeah. Before the final awful reveal, Manning actually confronts Reverend Nill and some of his thirds followers. It happens at another abandoned factory.
Yeah.
He manages to rescue Molly, who they were holding. But in the process, he ends up killing 3 of the thirds, including one guy apparently nicknamed Johnny Dinkfingers.
Johnny Dinkfingers, okay.
Yeah.
So Manning takes direct action against the thirds.
He does. But while that's happening, the official structure is just crumbling. Molly's editor publishes a story implicating Chief Nolan.
Nolan?
In what? In the shooting of a homeless man, Alex Radulov. The implication is that Nolan did it to cover up the third's involvement in other crimes. Whether it's true or not, it just adds to the chaos. The town's authority is completely imploding.
It's just chaos.
Yeah.
And then comes the actual climax, the truth about Jennifer.
And it happens in the most public way possible. Live television.
What? How?
There's a news broadcast. Suddenly, they cut to Xenophon Baars holding a press conference, and standing right next to him is Jennifer Bonjour.
She's alive.
She's alive, but her hands and feet are heavily bandaged.
Why? Like from the fingers and toe?
The implication is either self-mutilation for the cause or that the injuries were staged to support the story Baars is telling. He claims she was a victim, abducted, and tortured by the thirds. He's playing the victim card live on air.
My God. So the whole thing was a hoax, orchestrated by Baars.
Completely. And then it gets even worse. Right there, on live TV, Baars suddenly pulls out a gun.
No.
Swings it towards Jennifer and shoots her. Kills her. On camera.
Shoots her himself.
Yeah.
After claiming she was a victim.
Yes. He staged her disappearance, maybe even her mutilation, all to set up this final act, the ultimate atrocity tale, as the source calls it. Maximum impact, maximum horror, broadcast live.
And her last words. The source mentions something strange. Elephant shh.
Yeah. Just elephant sure, right before the shot.
What does that even mean? Is it just shock? A random phrase?
Who knows for sure? But given Baars' philosophy, it feels intentional. Like a final, absurd, meaningless statement. A cosmic joke whispered at the moment of death, underlining his belief that none of it matters. Not love, not life, not even a brutal murder on live TV. It's just noise before the frame shuts down. Utterly horrifying in its pointlessness.
Which must have hit Manning hard,
Yeah.
realizing the scale of the manipulation.
Exactly. He realizes Molly was just a pawn. Baars fed her just enough information to make her credible, to get the media hooked, but not the whole truth.
And Manning himself. Did his perfect memory help or hinder him here?
That's the irony he reflects on. His memory, the constant relieving of patterns, the expectation of repetition. It actually made it harder for him to see this one truly unique, grotesquely original act of evil coming, because it didn't fit the usual patterns.
So it loops back to his cynicism, his whole worldview.
Right. He sees repetitions, remember, where you see people, I see repeaters. His cynicism isn't just a mood, it's like a conclusion drawn from his endless internal databank of human behavior, mostly failure.
So, okay. What's the takeaway for us? for people who don't remember everything, people who forget.
Well, that's where Manning draws this really provocative conclusion about freedom, and maybe it's a bit bleak.
Go on.
He suggests that our ability to forget, our inability to retain everything like he does, is what allows us to make the same mistakes over and over again.
But we feel like we're choosing freely each time.
Exactly. We experience those repetitions for the first time, every time, because the sting of the last failure has faded. We forget the consequences, so we think, this time it's different, this time I'm choosing.
So we're trapped in loops, but our forgetfulness makes us feel free.
That's his argument. Most people are, in his words, imprisoned and utterly convinced you are free.
Wow.
And the only way to truly break free, to do something genuinely new outside those ironclad commandments of repetition, well, look at Baars. The price seems to be a complete loss of humanity, depravity as the only true novelty.
So you either repeat familiar patterns, maybe finding some comfort there, or you break the mold so completely that you become monstrous.
That seems to be the grim choice presented here. And Manning connects it back to something fundamental. Forgiveness.
How
So, he says, there's no forgiveness without forgetting. Think about it. If you remembered every single slight, every betrayal, every mistake someone made against you perfectly forever, could you ever truly forgive?
Probably not. The weight would be crushing.
And apply that to yourself. If you were cursed with Manning's memory, constantly reliving every embarrassing moment, every failure, every time you were less than honest, you just see yourself as a repeater too.
Constantly confronted by your own pattern.
Yeah. So the final thought to leave you with is this. If you had that perfect recall, if your own past actions just played on a loop in your head, constantly, would you see any of your actions as truly new, truly good? Or would you just see the same script playing out again and again? Makes you think about what new really means, doesn't it?